Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. It is positively 1 week closer to the holidays and to the end of the year. And to our Maryland Crab Cake Tour Madness, all of it brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. I have Raven scratch-offs to give away, but we're going to give away some other stuff next week. I'm going to have to get some fresh ones from Roz. We're going to be at Fadley's on Wednesday of this week with a whole bunch of old friends. And then next week, really ramping it up, we're going to be at Cheese of Little Italy on Tuesday. I'm overbooked for that. All these baseball people. Everybody knows a good meatball and a good Pani Rotundo when they find one. On Wednesday, we will be at Costas, where I will be treated royally with Crab Imperial. And we're doing the show in the bar for the very first time. It's a bar. It's Costas, right underneath of the Whiskey Line sign, and probably right underneath the racetracks. And that'll be next Wednesday. And we're hoping to gather a whole bunch of friends, including some Rock and Roll Hall of Famers at Dundalk at Costas next Wednesday, because it's not Christmas without our friends at Costas. This guy here took the weekend off from being out in the cold and the club level and running around, and he's sorting out holiday issues as well. He is our friend Leonard Raskin at Raskin Global. I'm wearing the shirt. I sat and watched football all day, and Luke and I have gone back and forth about, can the Ravens beat this team? Can the Ravens beat that team? The Bills didn't look so good out in L.A. and all that stuff. It was nice just to have a weekend off. Don't you agree? I mean, we watched a lot of football. We're about to ramp up Christmas night. We got Saturday night with the Steelers next week. It's
Crazy.
about to get crazy. So a little bit of an exhale and watch everybody else.
It
They're
was a
so
good weekend.
dominant team.
It was a good weekend for some NFL football. I agree. Look, I think the Ravens could beat any team in the tournament if they play Raven football. If they play penalty, turnover, we forgot who we are football, they'll lose like they have. They'll beat themselves. That's the problem. They show up and they do stupid things and they beat themselves and they lose games. But if they play good football, as they've shown many times already this year, there's nobody that can beat them. It's. I think they lost one game, my opinion. Kansas City, they lost. They obviously beat themselves there, but Kansas City's great team finds a way to win every darn game. They
They're
just
on
do
their
just
third kicker,
enough,
by the way.
just enough, and he doinked through the game winner on Sunday night. Good for him. Uh, I think he's either a rocket scientist or something. The guy's got some crazy job that he did before he was a kicker or while he was a kicker. Anyway, they know how to win, and they win. The Ravens, for some reason, they just know how to lose, and they lose games. They beat themselves too many times with stupid plays and dumb mistakes. And if they play their game, there's nobody out there they can't beat except themselves. So I
Leonard, I
watched.
know you're not a gambling guy, but have you
No,
seen the spread on the game this week? I figure you probably haven't, right?
against the Giants.
At the Giants, Sunday, 1 o'clock.
What's it? 12, 14?
I thought it would be 12 or 13,
Yep,
15.
15. Well, I know one thing. The Buckeyes were 23-point favorites against Michigan and lost. So the line, nothing. College football this past. Wow, what a weekend for college football. Clemson comes out of nowhere to win the ACC, beats SMU on, again, a crazy, if you happen to catch that. If you didn't, my goodness, they were up big. Fourth quarter, lost the entire lead with 15 seconds, 20 seconds to go. The
I
kickoff
follow
return.
Clemson through Brian Kowitz's
There you go.
Facebook feed.
The
How I
kickoff
follow
return
Clemson.
ran to the 40, one play to the 45 midfield, basically, and a freshman kicker banged a 56-yard field goal with no time on the clock to win the game. Utterly insane.
You know
Through
the
the
amazing
whole.
thing of you college football guys is all of my friends. You're Ohio State. I have a Michigan contingent.
Yeah,
Matt
sure.
Hagan and buddies. I have Alabama contingents. I have all the
Well, the
SECs.
Alabamas are not
Right?
happy today. They're out of the 12-team playoff. They
Yeah,
missed
all
it.
three of my cousins went to Alabama. I
They
never
all
talked
missed
about
it.
this with you,
Yeah,
but
they missed it. So the Buckeyes will play home on. This is going to be a good day, hopefully. The 21st, Ravens Steelers
Steelers.
at 4:30. Buckeyes Tennessee Volunteers at 8 o'clock. That'd be a nice game in the shoe. Uh,
You ever been to Knoxville?
I have not. I have not been to Knoxville.
I went to Knoxville in 1998. I was with Harvey Myers. I think Tom Matson was with us as well, and we flew into Nashville for a Ravens game,
Yep.
but Tennessee was playing the night before, and I thought it was closer than you had the Rand McNally out back in the
No, it's
day.
not that close.
No, it's a good three.
Yeah.
It's a
It's a ride
ride.
to the beach.
It's a
It's a ride
ride,
to the beach.
and it's in the woods, dude.
Yep.
Driving
Yep.
through Eastern Tennessee, it was a wet, cold,
Great
horrific
fun.
night.
Great fun.
We bought the creamsicle
Right.
rain gear, and we went up to the roof, 110,000 Neyland Stadium,
Yes.
checkerboard, the whole deal, and we
Crazy.
saw the great Jamal Lewis
There you
run the
go.
football at Neyland. I saw T. Martin was the quarterback that
Right.
night
That's it.
for the
That's
Georgia
it.
Bulldogs. So I mean, I've been there one time in my life, but college football, when you hey, look,
Crazy.
I don't tell that story often. It's 26 years ago,
There you go.
and I saw the picture of Harvey and I in the raincoats with the girls, because we were always girls with Harvey
Of
and I
course.
in the late 90s. And we had these pictures out in this rainy, awful night, but it
Oh,
makes a memory. If you go to a college
absolutely.
football game like that, it makes a memory.
Absolutely. I mean, they're crazy. College football is religion. It's everything. I mean,
I told you about the time I went to Tuscaloosa, right?
I'm not sure.
To Tuscaloosa, I saw UCLA with Deshaun Foster
Okay.
play at Alabama.
Yep.
I landed at the airport in Birmingham. It was a Labor Day weekend. It was a weekend that I walked out of a no-hitter that weekend in San Diego. I also sat with Tony Gwynn for an hour and a half, and you can go
There you
listen
go.
to the interview if you want. But I landed in the Birmingham, Alabama airport, and everybody was blonde and blue-eyed
Of
and all
course.
wearing blue and gold.
Right.
And they were all like getting off the airplane. They had all their UCLA
Oh,
bags.
okay.
And we were
Okay.
cheerleaders from
Sure.
UCLA. So we
Sure.
went out and like I thought, well, UCLA is gonna be well rep. No. When you walk into in
Not in
Tuscaloosa,
Alabama.
but man, I was in there. I was with Phil Savage before he was their team broadcaster.
Yep.
He had just gotten his Super Bowl ring. So that'll tell you it was September 2001,
Yep.
exactly when it was. And he had his little ring in his bag, and I'm up in the press box with him. And I met a girl that day. It's a long story. But so that day I'm in there, and Bear Bryant, and they had
No.
just little televisions then. They
Right.
didn't have they hadn't
Right.
expanded
Right.
the tower and the Bear Bryant Museum. I was told to go down there, touch the houndstooth coat, do all of to get the barbecue that Keith Jackson talked about, all that, right? Dreamland barbecue. They sop the bread up. They serve you white like Wonder Bread, and you sop the
Oh,
sauce up with it. So I'm up in the press box, and Bear Bryant, place is on fire. They're going to beat UCLA
right.
before Saban, any of that, right?
Right. Of course.
And Bear Bryant comes on the little screen. They crank it up, and he says, "I ain't never been nothing but a winner." And I'm like, man,
That's it.
So I mean, I've walked through the Grove in Mississippi.
Yeah.
I haven't done a lot of like Notre Dame or the Big House. Now, have you been to some of those with your kid, right?
I've been to a few. Not a lot of college places. Not
It's
a lot
not
of
your
them.
thing. See, my wife, after going to all these NFL games and even getting thrown out and everything, my wife, if I said to her, we're going to do a college football tour and
Yeah.
we're going to begin in Baton Rouge and we're
Yeah.
going to go to Texas A&M, she'd be all into it. Like
I'm
she
all
likes
in.
college. My wife really likes
I'm all
college
in. I
football.
love it. I love it. The atmosphere, and I could go. I have friends, colleagues at every one of these places. I could go to every one of these stadiums if I wanted to. I just haven't had the energy and desire to go just see a college game. But
I'm kind of amazed I never went to Notre Dame. You know
the
what I mean? Like I never did that.
the Buckeyes, if they beat Tennessee on the 21st, go forward to play the Ducks in the Rose
Correct.
Bowl. Now, Oregon's undefeated number one team in the country, and they lost to them by a point. And so it'll be interesting if they beat Tennessee to see if they can pull a revenge game. That'd be interesting. I have not been to the Rose Bowl. Haven't been out there to the what is it? Help me.
Pasadena.
Yeah, to Pasadena, right? The parade and then the big game at
Oh,
the at
dude, the
the.
parade always has good weather. You got to do that.
Absolutely.
That
That's
is way on my
New
wife's
Year's
bucket
Day.
list of all
New Year's
things. Yeah.
Day is the Rose Bowl, and tickets don't look too crazy expensive out there. in LA
So
for
you're
that.
thinking it through?
I don't know. It's up to the family. It's up to the boy. The boy's supposed to go back to Ireland before New Year's, and so we'd have to change the
Oh,
return trip and
oh.
do some finagling around the world and make things happen. We'll see. Who
Well,
knows?
listen, before I get back to sports and the Orioles made a signing, and so
Yes, they did. And how about
I
the
want to
Mets made
ask
a
you,
signing?
yeah, before it's end of the year and it's a
Yes,
couple of weeks, but it's not like, dude, next week the world shuts down. Christmas is in the
yes,
middle of
we're
the week.
coming
The
up
Ravens are playing,
quick, quick.
and then
Yes,
it's New Year's and everything goes to hell, and then the new year begins like a Wednesday. Nobody's going to want to work.
right, right.
Like we're getting into that period where like you got a little bit of downtime. You're around. Maybe you don't like your relatives as much as I like mine, and you like
Yeah,
yours.
there you go.
And you're thinking about things, right? Like it's my end of the year, and I don't want to use a Mike Pence term from your side of the political fence, but the lodestar, sort of like where am I going? What am I
Yeah,
doing? Get me a
yeah,
strategy. I've talked a lot of serious things. I had Karen Faulkner on 2 weeks ago talking about leadership. I also had last week Stacey Munsell came on talking about networking leadership. But just at the end of a year, I think we
yes,
all try to get a little clear headed about things,
yeah.
even though there's gonna be a lot of
Make an
football.
assessment. Take a look at where
Well,
you
off the
are.
record, you and me and my wife, we're all trying to get together at the end of the year and
That's
just say,
right.
where are we? We haven't
Do an
gotten together in a little
assessment.
while. Yeah.
See where things are. Exactly
And you're
right.
doing that with clients every day, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We do the big Raskin Global Party Bash. We had the Crab Feast in October. We sent out emails shortly after that and said, "Hey, if you weren't there, we missed you. And if you'd like to get on the calendar, you should do it now because the year end fills up really fast." And just take a sit down, look at where you are, make an assessment. Are there things I need to do before year end? Could it be that I'm supposed to maximize my 401k I haven't done? Could it be that I've got to convert my IRA to a Roth IRA that I can only do before year end? Is it I've got some medical things going on, and from a tax deduction standpoint, if I bunch my medical deductions in the calendar year and they exceed a threshold of adjusted gross income, I can take a write off. Or just medical, I've met my deductible and my copay, and if I got some things I got to get done before year end, the health insurance will pay for it. But if I wait till the calendar flips January 1st, I got to meet my deductible and copay again, and I'd have to pay for those things out of pocket. Whatever that is, have I used my FSA, flex spending account, properly? It's a use it or lose it deal. If I don't spend what I need on there and I put money away in the flex account and I don't spend it before year end, I forfeit the money. Make sure you've used up the flex spending account properly. If you're older, we're talking now to our listeners, viewers over 70 and a half, over 73. Have I taken my required minimum distribution out of my IRA? If you don't take what's required, now there's some new laws which make it a little easier. In the past, if you didn't take what you had to take required out of your IRA, there was a 50, can you believe it, Nestor? A 50% excise tax. The government charged you a penalty, 50% for not taking what you should. Now
Why
that
is that? Why
because
is
they
it so? Why
because
be
they want their
prohibited?
tax money. See, the IRA, you've grown it your whole life with no tax. You put it in pre-tax, your 401k, your IRA. You've grown it all these years. The government didn't get their money. Now, 70 and a half, 73, depending upon your birth date, you have to take a certain amount out, and they want their taxes. If you don't take it out, there's a 50% surcharge, penalty, excise tax for not taking it. So you got to take it. Now, they passed new law, Secure Act, and after these new laws passed the last few years, now the penalty is only 25%. And if you do it in a certain timely fashion, it's 10%. But why give the government a tip? You don't need to tip the government. You need to pay what you're required, no more than that. So take your required minimum distribution. If you're over 70 and a half, you can do what's called a qualified charitable distribution. That is, instead of giving money to charity after you take your withdrawal, you give part of your IRA withdrawal directly to charity. It counts towards your required minimum distribution if you take it out in the right order. And you do a great thing for charity because they're not taxed on the money. You don't get a deduction, but with the new standard deduction amounts, not a lot of people itemize anymore. So the qualified charitable deduction gives you a great way to take money out of your IRA, send it to charity that you care about, do great things for charity, give to the causes you care about. Don't just give money to the government, and meet your required minimum distributions. But you got to do all this before year end, before 12/31. So lots of little tax tidbits if you're in business. You got to make sure that you do the right things. Meet with your accountant, your controller. Make sure you close your books properly. Is there any equipment you need to buy before year end that you would be able to write off this year? That if you wait till January, you can't write off till the end of next year.
What about an automobile from a business standpoint?
Yeah, so if you're buying heavy trucks, heavy equipment, if it weighs more than 6,000 pounds, gross vehicle weights more than 6,000 pounds, you can depreciate, write off almost the full purchase price of a pickup, an SUV, something, a van, vehicles used for business. If you're in business, a great deduction. If you're in the market for a new vehicle,
SUV is the way to do that.
it can be, absolutely.
6,000 pounds is the issue?
Yes, it is. So if you go on your Google machine and you ask it about vehicles, this is very specific, common search term, because everybody knows 6,000 pounds. So the manufacturers know they got to make those SUVs, light trucks, heavy trucks, more than 6,000 pounds. There are some out there that are 6,010. I don't know how the manufacturer did that. Probably put some weights in the trunk. But and if you do that, you get significant write-off as a business for that vehicle in the calendar year and you have to put that vehicle in service. You can't just buy it. You got to buy it and get it on the road. So you can buy it and get it on the road on December 30th, 31st, that's fine. But you got to buy it, take delivery, get it on the road. If you do that, big deductions. Lots of things you can do to save tax. These are just the low-hanging fruit, the normal everyday things people think about. There are lots of other tax-saving strategies. So again, we don't believe in tipping the IRS. We want to give them what's appropriate. We want to give them what they're due, but there's no reason legally to give them more. And if there's opportunities in the tax code to take advantage of things, and you're in the business to do them, then do them. Talk to your CPA, talk to your financial advisor, give us a shout out at Raskin Global, info@raskinglobal.com, me, L. Raskin, at raskinglobal.com. Let's make sure your year end is efficient, a good assessment, and you're ready to go into 2025. Go figure, 2025. Last but not least, we always say this: year end, beginning of the year, middle of the year, any time of the year, check your beneficiary designations. I can't tell you the number of times your company, for instance, changes your 401k. They go from Fidelity to Vanguard, Vanguard to Empower, Empower to John Hancock, whoever the financial institution is that your 401k is with. They change systems, and you look on your system and you go in there and it says no beneficiary on file. You say, well, no, I had a beneficiary. It's my wife, my husband, my kids. No, if it says no beneficiary on file, they lost it. You need to make sure they're up to date, current, that the beneficiaries are what you want, so the money goes to who you want when you pass properly.
It's kind of frightening you'd say they would lose something like
They
that.
do.
That's what I'm learning, what you're telling me.
They absolutely do. Companies shift, and when you shift custodians, things get lost. To give you another simple example, there's a company, everybody's probably heard of this company, Ameritrade, TD Ameritrade, big financial institution, merged with another big company called Charles Schwab. Everybody's heard of them. Now, to me, a merger is when at the end of the day we share the name. A takeover is when your name disappears. So Ameritrade is going away. Schwab is the company. And if you had an IRA or a Roth IRA at TD Ameritrade and it shifted to Schwab, they have to combine millions and millions of computer records for these accounts. 1 out of 10, I don't know the number. Every now and then we have a client, their account shifted. We take a look whenever we do a review, make sure the beneficiaries are right. And sure enough, Schwab says no beneficiary on file. We handle the account. We know there's a beneficiary. There was one at TD. There is not one at Schwab. Got to go in, Got to fix it. Got to check it. Got to make sure it's right.
And that's
So
modern life in America with mergers and
that's
takeovers
right.
and
computers.
right.
And sometimes systems don't talk to each other. 9 out of 10 times it's going to be right. If you're the 1 out of 10 that it's wrong, it's bad news if something happens. So check them. This is the time of year. Take an assessment, know where you are, know what you're doing, whether it's year end for all these kind of things or shortly after that, beginning a year, you do it to make sure you're going into 25 best ready to go for the way you want to go.
Leonard Raskin is here. He is Raskin Global. I'm wearing the shirt. He is on the front of Baltimore Positive. You can find him at raskinglobal.com. Obviously, right here locally in the area to meet with you. I have my big meeting with Leonard this week to make sure I got my stuff together. By the way, college bowls begin on the 20th, which is the Friday night.
Yes.
Indiana, Notre Dame.
Yep.
Saturday is SMU and Penn State at noon. Clemson, Texas at 4. Tennessee, Ohio State at 8. So the Clemson-Texas game goes on right against the Ravens game, right?
Yes. Yeah. So if you're a college fan and not a Ravens-Steeler fan, you'll be watching.
That's unusual, right?
Clemson.
Like, really
Yeah,
unusual,
this is the first.
right?
Oh, this is the first year of the 12-team playoff.
No, but I'm saying stepping on.
Yeah, well, they don't have a choice.
Ravens game, but yeah, right. They got to play.
They don't have a choice.
They all got to make money.
That's right.
They got to pay the players.
It's all about the Benjamins. The players got to get paid.
Got to get a little NIL, you know.
What's his name? Soto.
Juan
Soto. Juan. $765 million. Ness. It's a pretty good haul.
By the way, I know it doesn't speak to your liberal principles, but did you watch a church lady the other night or no? Did you watch that?
I did not.
No, there was a whole scene where the church lady
came
back to life.
Saturday Night Live?
Juan Soto came onto the set.
Oh, right? I did not know this.
As part of the shtick, right? Not the real Juan Soto, right? Because sometimes he really is the real Juan Soto, right?
Right.
But no, and the punchline was that he does a lot for charity. He might sign with the Mets.
Oh, well,
so
there you go.
At 9 in the morning, I'm having a cup of Rofo.
Awesome.
You know, and I'm like, literally spit out my coffee. I'm like, that's funny. Like,
that's
Church Lady
good.
It was a really good bit. If you haven't seen
it. I haven't. I will see that. I will check that out.
Show. So, like,
and then sure enough.
And then, so sure enough, I'm watching Sunday Night Football, and I looked down, and I'm like, they signed with the Mets. The first thing I said to Luke was, you know, losers lose. Losers sign with the Mets. Winners sign with the Yankees, right? At least that's been the story of 56 years of me watching it, right?
That's right.
You know what Luke said? If the Mets could lure him in, you'll like this because you appreciate modern business and leadership and all of that. Luke said if I got Juan Soto in the room, I'd say, Yankees, they already got Babe Ruth. They've got all the Mickey Man, all these heroes. Right. You'll just be another guy over there.
That's right.
Here, we got Tom Seaver and Darryl Strawberry and Rusty Staub, David Wright. You could be Mr. Met. I mean, you win 3 World Series out here.
You're somebody here.
Right. Yeah. So
you'd be the history of the franchise.
But what do you make of it when, first off, you're a money guy. I want you to be greedy on my behalf for my money. I want to get the most money.
That's right.
We're America, right? But there is a point where you're like, you can sign anywhere you want to sign.
Right.
Do you really want to be a Met? Was it your dream to be a Met? You know, that's where
I think at this point, if I had to guess, and what the heck do I know, I'd have to guess he loves New York, right? Because why else?
New York, there's great food.
Right. You know? Why else would you subject yourself to the second, third highest state income tax in the country? It's a lot of money.
All right. Here we
go. It's a lot of money coming off the top.
Sign with the Marlins. That's what we said.
Sign with the Marlins. Sign with the Rays. Sign with the Astros. Sign with the Rangers.
Sign with the Marlins, you know.
Sign with the Rangers, the Astros. Sign where there's no state income tax.
No, California.
The Mariners.
Stay away from California.
What could he do for the Mariners? My goodness. You know? So $765 million. I read that the Yankees offered him $760 for 1 year less. And he took $765. No, sorry. The Yankees wanted him $760 1 year longer. 16 years, $760. He went to the Mets for $765, 15.
And at that point, you're like, so if I'll get more endorsement money if I go to the Yankees or like that.
Who cares? Who cares? I think the bottom line is, look, the bottom line was, if it's me with my conjecture, he wanted to be the highest paid player currently ever. He beat Shohei by $5 million.
Okay.
So he's now
So,
the highest paid. Look, the other thing we
but are
don't
you happy at
realize,
work? Are you,
right? He's
like,
happy. He gets to hit a ball. Who cares?
okay.
The thing that the thing that's amazing to
They
me,
all want
people
to
don't
win,
really
though.
realize.
They all want
Right,
to win.
right. But how old is he's young? He's
He's
young.
already won.
I know, and he's young. He was Red Sox, right?
Well, yeah, no, he was
Padres,
Nationals. He was Nationals.
Nationals. I'm sorry,
Nationals.
not right.
They wear Red
Nationals.
Sox, but
No,
Nationals. Yeah.
he was Nationals,
Padres, Yankees.
Padres,
Yankees.
Yankees.
Yeah, he's tasted it all.
It's a pretty good run. And he's not, he's what, 25, 26?
Hey, dude, maybe
He's a
he likes,
kid.
you know what? Maybe he likes hitting the ball in the ballpark in Queens. Maybe the
That's
rugged
right.
neighborhood around there
He
appeals to
likes it.
him in some way. I mean, I really, and whatever it is,
I
God
love it.
bless him.
I
But
love it.
I find it to be curious. And here's the other part of it. And I'll leave you with this because you're Mr. Moneybags guy and Raskin Global and advising people like Mr. Rubenstein. By the way,
Yeah,
you
there
were
you
the
go.
first guy, how to spend their money
Yep.
from an investment standpoint,
Yes.
and I mean this from my soul,
Yes.
it
Yes.
feels like in baseball, as fans of baseball, we sit here with Lamar and we're like, it's not like there was any point we said we can't afford Lamar
No.
or we can't have him as a player, right?
Right.
Hockey, same thing with Ovechkin. It was like it's Ovechkin's going to go sign with the Rangers or the
Nope.
Red Wings or whatever, or the
Yep.
Canadian teams can't compete in the NHL. There is a problem with that. But
Yes.
for me, with baseball and money, if this were a level playing field, you want the best players, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
when the best teams were competing for him at that level, it speaks to what his real value is, right?
That's
It's
right.
America, right? That's
His
his
value
value.
is what a willing buyer is willing to pay.
There it is. Okay. And they crunched the numbers and
They
said Juan
figured it
Soto
out.
760, right?
Yep.
What sport are the Orioles playing? Yeah, I mean, like, you
That's
know
a
what I
great
mean? Like,
question.
I'm just
And
because
if
it
they
really
lose,
is a
if they
different
lose Santander now
game.
to the Yankees, huh? Because
Well,
Soto's gone, how much are the Yankees going to pay him?
Well, what they did was they replaced a right-handed bat for Santander. I said to Luke, Luke said Santander might get 100 million, right?
Right.
This was a $50 million signing for a guy who's been a little injured, good defense,
Right.
was a Red Sox. He's going to play left field. They're moving the fence in, they're moving the fence out. They're moving the fence in, they're
Right.
moving the fence out, right? Like, so to me, it's the pitching. And I said to Luke, if they have to go play tomorrow, they stink. I mean, not stink, but they can't win the World Series. They don't have pitching.
Need the pitchers.
They-
Need the horses on
so
the hill.
the next thing for me is what the pitching costs, and are you a real player or you a real buy? Not that they have to buy Corbin Burns, but they have to show me on opening day that they're not.
Why
like,
wouldn't they?
hoping that?
Why
that,
wouldn't they? If and I haven't heard any of this. Maybe you have. Is there anything where he has said he doesn't want to come back?
Who, Santander?
No, Burns.
Burns? No, he's
So
Juan Soto. He's trying to get paid.
right. So why don't they pay him? That's what they need. You got Burns and Eflin,
Why don't
right?
they pay him what?
What he's what the market worth?
Okay.
I don't know what's the market talking for him.
6 years, $1.25.
It's nothing. It's nothing. They got to do it. If they want to win, that's what they have to do.
Well,
they need pitching. That's first and foremost.
And Luke would probably laugh at me, say more like $1.50, but
whatever. Okay. Rubenstein's a billionaire. He's got
that's
Bloomberg,
the game.
billionaire.
I mean, this is the game. This is
you got to pay.
Like, you're in, and you want the PR, and it's a philanthropy,
and you want to win,
and it's this.
You got to win.
Like, are you?
Step up.
Is this serious or is it
Step
not? I don't
up.
know. You know, I'm judging it.
We all
I'm looking
have,
to ask questions that they're not.
We
willing
all
to answer.
have right. I get it. We all
they
have
had real
cost of doing
accountability.
business.
They would be out at the Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital and golf tournaments, and they would have been me at Roost 50 the other night, and they would be answering questions, trying to sell me tickets. I don't know what they're doing. They
don't
show
either,
up more on my LinkedIn thing looking to hire people than they do to try to reach the people.
It's time.
Like
well,
me,
it's time to step up. Look, I think we all knew they weren't going to find Juan Soto in the outfield. That was not practical. But 100.5.
But that's my. Well, why? Why?
Well,
why is that not practical?
You saw who they picked. They grabbed a guy that they believe is reasonable at a reasonable price. They could keep Santander if they wanted. I don't know that they will. I think he'll go to the Yankees. But you got to keep pitching. We know that. You got to get pitching. So they got young kids. The young kids are playing good ball. We had, a minute away from the Rookie of the Year? How much did he miss it by? A vote or two? I mean, you got a good outfield. You got the players.
Well, I mean, expecting Holiday to come on. You're expecting Rutschman to be right. You're expecting
Right.
Westberg to have a full season.
That's
You're
right.
expecting Henderson to build on being a 23-year-old phenom.
That's right. And
We
you
were
need
expecting
pitching.
Rutschman to, but these are all not all. I think Westberg's fine. I think Henderson's
Yep.
fine.
Yep.
But there were big question marks about Holiday, huge question marks about Rutschman, which is
Yep.
why they gave $8 million to a backup catcher
Yep.
this
Yep.
weekend in Gary Sanchez, who
That's
was
okay.
the Adley Rutschman of the Yankees
Yep.
8 years ago. I remember that,
It's
and
okay.
now he's 32 and, hanging
He'll
on
play
to
a few
being,
games.
yeah,
He'll play some games. Give him some
yeah.
break. I like
and
it.
they
I
like a
like it.
right-handed bat as well, and they're moving the fence back in.
But we want pitching. We need pitching. Bottom line. And Burns, if he hasn't said he doesn't want to pitch here, which I don't know why he would, he had a great season. I think you got to find a way to make him a player. You got to find a way to keep him here to
You might have a
show
guy
that
like
you're
you
willing
trying
to
ship him
pay.
off to the Marlins to save money on taxes.
Well, look, I'm all about saving taxes, but you know what? Here's the bottom line: Maryland, New York, California, 8, 10, 13, 14% income tax. The tax you really have to avoid is 40% at the federal level. And there's no way to do that because you ain't playing in Cuba. So he'll find great ways to avoid the federal tax, and then the state just comes along as an afterthought. That's all. But
$760 million. He'll do okay in New York.
he'll net all right. If you net
I think
half,
he already knew he was going to have to spend $20 million on a penthouse there. So
there you go. If you doesn't he have one?
it's probably
Where
a
does he
bad
live now?
penthouse in New York. $20 million is probably just like that's the 12th
A
floor.
tent. That's a
Yeah.
tent
Yeah.
outside the stadium.
That's Oscar Madison's place.
Right. He needs a real place.
He needs to do better than Felix Unger.
At 765, he'll be able to find something, I'm sure.
Leonard Raskin can be found at Raskin Global. We will continue these conversations as we spend Mr. Rubenstein's money.
Absolutely.
And we make the holidays happen. A lot of football ahead. 15-point favorite against the Giants this week. And then bang, bang, we get back after it with Pittsburgh. And then it's Christmas and it's Houston and onward and upward. We're watching a lot of football around here, waiting on the baseball thing, and also doing a lot of crab cakes. Maryland Crab Cake Tour is back out on the road this week. We are at Fadley's and at Lexington Market. I got so many guests coming to Amici's next Tuesday. I'm going to have to stack them up for the meatballs over there in the Pawnee Rotundo. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be at Costas over in Dundalk, in my homeland. I'm hoping to get my son over for a chicken keto with the Triantifolos family. I had to learn how to say Seropolis last week when I had Nick Seropolis. I always called him Nick the Greek. I didn't know how to pronounce it. I called it Syriopolis. I messed it all up. Sig was laughing at me. Great show at Coco's last week. We had great times out eating the crab cakes with Dan Rodericks at Gertrude's and my cousin John Shields. Make sure you go see Dan's show this week. It's phenomenal, and it's over at the BMA. So we're getting the show back out. We're going to be up in Bel Air at Lib's Grill on January 7th to kick off the new year. Big thanks to our friends at Ravens Roost 50 who invited me back after 25 years. They made me cry. I guess I was a founding member. They kept saying to me, without you, there's no Roost. And I'm like, you guys look like you're doing okay over 25 years.
There
but
you
we
go.
did found the Roost there. We used to bring the tree in with Jimmy Bullington, and there was some cheers, and there was Leonard. I don't know. You live on the north side of town. You're from the west side. I'm from the deep east side.
Yeah.
I saw some ish I ain't never seen before. They had cupcakes, and right on the cupcakes, it said that they were infused with like some purple pucker stuff. And I'm like, what's infused? And she's like, I infuse it after I bake it into the cupcake. These cupcakes were, and my wife got half crocked. She was out there.
With a needle. They put a needle with the liquor in it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Is that a Kearney Parkville thing?
I don't know anything about it. I know years ago, I went to the, we'll wrap with this. I went to the aquarium.
Okay.
For the big, they used to have a thing called Splash. Okay. It was restaurants come out. I think they may still do it. Restaurants come out, have all their wares, and I can't think of the name of the place. It's Henry's? Not Henry's. No. Whatever it was in Green Springs Station. What was the
Harvey's?
Harvey's. I see. I got Henry's. Harvey's.
So you're talking to a young old timer. I mean,
Harvey's. So dessert in the dessert area, Harvey's had these. Man, they were as big as your fist. These giant strawberries.
Okay, with chocolate.
With the chocolate, but they would infuse them. It's made me thought.
Oh, with
with
Grandma Ye.
Grand
I
Marnier
knew about this.
injected into the
You
strawberries,
know what?
dipped
They
in the
serve those at the
chocolate.
zoo at Zoomerang
There
every
you
year.
go. Oh, there's
Oh
nothing better
my
than that.
God! Don't
There was a
drive
line.
home.
There was a
Oh,
line of
Uber.
30 people, 30 people. And I went with a couple friends, couple couples went. I stayed at the front of the line, Ness, and just kept eating. Kathy's like, dude, you got
Yeah,
to
they
get
had a
back in
pump. They
line.
had like a pump. It was like a
I'm not getting back
syringe.
in line. I'm staying right here. It was a hypodermic needle. They were jacking those strawberries. Grandma Ye dipped in the hot white chocolate. To die for.
Forget about it.
To
Shut
die
the
for.
door,
There you go.
as Guy Fieri would say. Leonard Raskin is getting me moving here, dude. We had so much fun talking food. I had Dara Bungeon on. She put a recipe from Jay Moore. She put a recipe up for corn pudding right before
There you
Thanksgiving.
go.
My wife made it, so I had never met her. I mean, I follow her work, and I had her out. Did an hour of like conversation about food and the
Excellent.
old Pimlico Hotel and
Ah,
crab
there's some.
cakes and
That's some good dinner right
we
there.
if you haven't had the
Whew.
coconut shrimp over at Coco's, please come and participate. I then did an hour on coffee with Thomas Rhodes from Zeke's Coffee,
I'll pass on
talking
that.
about you're not a coffee guy at
Not
all.
a coffee guy.
Well, I mean, it's delicious.
Well, if you like it.
Well,
Sometimes
speaking of
like
that,
sometimes tiramisu's got too much coffee for me.
come on, man,
I
you
don't
got
I
to
don't do
expand your
coffee.
palate,
I don't do
Leonard.
coffee, dude. I'm not a coffee dude. Not a coffee guy.
All right, all right.
Hot chocolate.
I'm gonna have to
Hot
talk to you
chocolate.
about. I'm gonna have to talk to you about like do a little food tour here because I'm doing
That's
a
it.
crab soup tour
Okay.
next summer. I'm going to do 27 crab soups
I'm all
in
for it.
27
That I'm
days.
loving. I'm loving
And I'm
that.
trying to figure out like between cream of crab and what some creative ways people do it.
Do it all.
Yeah, I'm eating my face off. It's the holidays.
What do
He's
they
Leonard.
call the
I'm
Arnold
Nestor.
Palmer of crab soup?
Or a half and half.
Right. What is that? What they call it? Half and half.
Yeah. Just,
We got to
I'll
come up
have
with a
it.
name. We should name it the Nestor. We should come up with a name for the half and half so Baltimore has a name.
I'm trying to get Pizza John's the name of pizza. The Hawaiian. Well, you had the pizza.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Hawaiian
yeah, yeah.
with the pepperoni on it. I'm working on it. I got Curio working on a strain. Last week I was talking about if I had a beer, it would be a stout. I said last week if there was a coffee that was a Nasty Nestor blend, it would have to be a half decaf.
There you
Because
go.
I'm a half decaf guy. And I don't know what Justin Tucker's doing for coffee at Royal Farms, but I hope he kicks the ball straight this week.
That's
all right?
it. Let's go. Kick
right,
it through those Meadowland uprights.
Leonard Raskin give me a kick in the pants and giving you a kick in the pants too to review your stuff at the end of the year. You
Get
can find him
checked.
at Raskin Global. You can find him both of us at BaltimorePositive.com. I am Nestor. We are WNST AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore positive.